Let's take a look at the topic 5.2, try it number 1A. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply our properties of exponents to simplify. Now, there's not just one straight way you can do this. I'm going to show you two ways, different ways that you can look at this. So in the first example, let's just go ahead and apply our power of a power property. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this exponent of 1/2 to both my numerator and my denominator. And when we do that, we would multiply the exponents. Understand this 3 has an exponent of 1, so 1 times 1/2 is just 1/2. So in my numerator, I have 3 raised to the 1/2 power. In my denominator, I have 32 raised to the 2/5 power times 1/2. And now fractions, when you multiply, let's keep going. This is 3 1/2. We'll leave that up in the numerator like that. I can do two things. I can multiply across the numerator and across the denominator, then reduce. So I would get 2 times 1 is 2, 5 times 2 is 10, which would be 2/10. And you could reduce 2/10 down to 1/5. Or you can go ahead and just cross reduce. So I can reduce the 2 over the 2. 2 over 2 is just 1. And I'm left now with 1/5. So now this is 32 to the 1/5. Okay, so now let's move this into radical form. 3 raised to the 1/2 power is the square root of 3. 32 raised to the 1/5 power, that is the 5th root of 32. And I'm sure you've seen this several times in our lessons. 5th root of 32 equals 2. So there's my final answer, square root 3 over 2. Let's do it a little different way. We had 3 over 32 raised to the 2/5 raised to the 1/2. So before I do anything, I'm going to move this into radical form. So this is going to be 3 all over the 5th root of 32 squared, with everything raised to the 1/2. And now I can go ahead and apply my exponent, the properties of exponents, power of a power. I get 3 raised to the 1/2 power, all over. Now here I have the 5th root of 32 squared times 1/2. Well, now notice 2 times 1/2, that's 2 over 2, which is just 1. So these will cancel each other out. So now again, I'm back to where I was up here. Square root of 3 all over the 5th root of 32, which is 2. So a little different approach, you're going to get the same answer. So here we just applied the exponent right away, but I know some of my students have a tendency, let me see this, to move it in radical form. Either way, it might be a slightly different process, but you still get the exact same answer. Let's take a look at B. 2a raised to the 1/3 times ab raised to the 1/2, quantity raised to the 2/3. Okay, so here you want to think PEMDAS. Parentheses first. There's nothing I can do within the parentheses. Now we're going to deal with exponents. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my power of a power property. So I'm going to keep this here. I'm just going to keep working at it. We'll go step by step. Okay, so I'm going to distribute this 2/3. So I have a raised to the 2/3 times b raised to the 1/2 power of a power, you multiply exponents, 2/3. So now my 2's reduce out here, and I'm going to be left with b raised to the 1/3 power. Okay. So now I'm going to use my distributive property, and understand we are multiplying. And when you're multiplying by the same base, notice here we have bases of a, you're going to add your exponents. So here we go. Going to have 2a raised to the 1/3. When I multiply that times a raised to the 2/3, I'm just adding the exponents. You keep the base, add the exponents. And then b to the 1/3. And now let's just simplify the fractions. We get 2a. Well, 1 plus 2 is 3, so that's 2a to the 3/3, b to the 1/3. Well, 3/3 is just 1. So that means I have 2a. When I have a rational exponent, I'm going to move this into radical form. 2a, my base is b, that becomes my radicand, my index is 3. And that 1 would go out here. We don't need to show an exponent of 1. So here's our final answer.